Well, good afternoon here on the East Coast, and it's good morning on the West Coast. And this portion of On the Dot's been brought to you by Euphoria. And I'm going to have a little drink of my Euphoria. Uh, it's not a shake, but it helps me. It has lots of vitamin C. It's an amazing company, and I highly recommend it. It's nutrition based on your own unique DNA. So we are so excited for today's On the Dot. And as you can see in the background here, the colors actually are like the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengal colors. And congratulations to those Bengals. They're on their way to the third Super Bowl. And maybe some of the Bengals we're going to find from our guests might be wearing these glasses. Maybe they've worn them or they will be wearing them. And our special guest on the dot is going to be Mike Cavers, and we'll get to him in just a few minutes after a few announcements. First of all, happy Groundhog Day. It's February 2nd, and I want to wish happy birthday. We always do that on the dot. I want to wish happy birthday to my cousin, Bridget Herrick, who is in Virginia. Happy birthday, cousin Bridget. And I want to wish happy birthday to my other cousin Kate McClure, who is here in Tully, New York. Happy birthday, Kate. And I want to wish happy birthday to Jillian Lowe. And Jillian, say hello to your father and your sister and your mother. They live in Oakland, I believe. And my friend Sherry Estes. Want to wish a happy birthday to Sherry. And Paige Houston. Happy birthday, Paige. And happy birthday to my fellow social networker, Dawn Smallwood, who I met 20 plus years ago with a company called NSA. And happy birthday to Lori Finley Hamilton, who I think's down in Florida. She's also an amazing networker. And happy birthday to this wonderful singer, Shakira. It's her birthday today. And everyone knows who Shakira is. And happy birthday to a woman that I connected with on Facebook. I don't know if we're still connected, but I bumped into her. I met her about 20 years ago. She's famous. Her name's Christy Brinkley. So happy birthday, Christy Brinkley. It's her birthday today. And now for the guys, happy birthday to my former Raider teammate, Dave Casper, the ghost of the post. Happy birthday, Dave. Happy birthday to one of the greatest baseball scouts in history, Gary Hughes. And when I was drafted by the Yankees, Gary was with the Yankees then, and I got drafted by Gary and the Yankees, and Gary's in the Baseball Scout Hall of Fame. So he's one of the great scouts of all time. Happy birthday, Gary. And happy birthday to my friend Luis Velasquez, who also is a great networker. And I believe, Luis, you're in the insurance business now. And finally, happy birthday to Eric White, who I met with a company called Super Draft Pro. And there's a lot of companies out there where, DraftKings and people are having fun, gambling. I would just say, if you want to have fun gambling, just put aside, whatever you can afford and realize you might lose that $100 or whatever, but don't take it too serious because gambling it's a slippery slope. So I would, have fun, but have a budget. So that's my last word of advice. So with that said, I want to bring on Mike Cavers. Mike is a guy, by the way, we have the same birthday, December 14th, right, Mike? He's in the background. He's in the behind the scenes there. And Mike, let me give you a little background on Mike. Mike was born December 14th, same day as me. And he has a BA in business and economics from Southwestern University. And that's when he decided to enter professional baseball. And he became a professional baseball player with the Baltimore Orioles. And we're going to talk baseball, I'm sure, on the dot. And he even extended his, after college, he went to Harvard and he was there with a senior executive program. You might want to talk about that. He learned about negotiations, and there's a famous book that I read in graduate school about called Getting to Yes. And I think it was written by a couple Harvard professors about negotiations. So we might talk about that. And the other thing is when he got out of of baseball, he ended up working for the swoosh with Phil Knight, and he was one of the top baseball executives with Nike, which I believe led him to this company called Strobe Sport. And I'm so excited about this product because I want to improve my vision. And as you can see in the picture here, I'm going to bring on Mike right now, and Mike can talk about this, and I can shut up here, Mike. But I guess Mike, OnTheDot is about you, and there's probably a lot of holes that you can plug. Why don't you talk about where you were born in December 14th and where you went to high school, and talk about your background, brother.
Sure. Well, where I was born in a hospital. Just to let you know. No, I was born in Houston, Texas. Grew up in Texas, went to high school there, went to college at Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas, a little north of Austin, about 1,200 students, NAIA school. And was fortunate to get to play baseball there. And as you mentioned, after college, I got to play professionally. So I was with the Orioles organization for 5 years. Great opportunity. I didn't get to the big leagues. I was the last couple of years in AA, and kind of talk about why with the glasses here. Can you kind of fix some things some shortcomings. After that, I was able to work for Nike 15 years. So with all of the professional baseball players, signing contracts, servicing guys, introducing new products, getting feedback from them, just learning, what it takes for them to be successful and trying to be that person that's adding value to them at Nike, but also, put in my perspective as a baseball player, as a young baseball player up to a pro, and seeing how these guys. So it has kind of taken me over to where I am with the Strobe Sport, and it's kind of a missing piece that we're looking at for sports training, and what I mean by that is. I'll kind of get right into it. So, just quickly, let's kind of show you the glasses real quick, and then we'll kind of jump into them. But you see the glasses, how they're strobing, how you can see through there. You can see me, you don't see me. Got a couple different flavors here. So when it comes to sports, it's really about focus, and focus is able to relate to your performance. And I'll ask Dot, I'll ask you, when you were playing it at your best, what was going through your head? And most people, I'll go ahead and say, when you're in the zone, what do you think about? What's going through your head?
Well, I would say thank you for asking that question. Actually, you're one of the first guests that I've had on that asked me a question. Thank you. I would say one of the great things about being an athlete, if you want to be a great athlete, you have to work at your trade. And one of the greatest, I think, players to ever play the game is Ichiro. And Ichiro worked at his trade, and you practice like you play, and he worked at it. So when you practice diligently, just like it's a game, you should, when you're in practice, you should think it's a game. And when you practice hard, the game becomes easy. So when you're in the game, you're in the zone. But in any sport, whether it's baseball, soccer, basketball, American football, vision is critical, and something that I guess I'll throw it back to you, Mike. Vision, athletes have a different type of vision, the great athletes, and what you're doing, this product is so exciting for me, not just for the athletes, for the wannabe athletes, for the armchair quarterback that want to improve their vision. I think it's a huge market. So I guess the question I'm going to throw back to you is, who can benefit from this great?
Yeah, everyone can. I got kids from 5 years old on up to people our age, Dot, that are able to improve their performance. And I was kind of go back to saying, like, when we're in the zone, we're just capturing just the essence of what we need, and the distractions are gone. We don't even they aren't even recognized. So that's when we're going real well. But when we're playing poorly, and I ask every athlete, I go, what's going through your head now when you're going poorly? And they start listing things. My mechanics. I made a bad play. There's, the umpire made a bad call. The referee made a bad call, and just all this other stuff clouds our mind when we're trying to capture the good information. So a couple things happen. All the extra stimuli that we're processing, for one, it dilutes the good information we have, the great information we need for moving forward for the next play. So it dilutes it. So right there, we're going to be less. I'm sorry about that. We're going to be less consistent just because we got a bunch of stuff in there we don't need. Plus, it takes longer to process all the extra stimuli. So that affects our reaction time. So the more we process, the longer it takes, so the game gets a little fast on us. When we're playing really well, the game seems slow and easy. Again, it's all related to that focus there. So this is something trainable. As you mentioned about Ichiro and how he was able to train, and absolutely. So our practice is, and again, we're kind of getting into how the brain works and thinks, and we're going to be training the brain through the eyes. So when we're at practice, we're still, the brain knows it's not a game. As much as we say, hey, this is a game situation, we don't have the same stressors. We don't have the crowd. We don't have the clock ticking down. We don't have those type of things that we have to process in practice. And so then we're able to simulate that with the glasses. By doing this and by taking information away, we're adding a little more stressors, a little more resistance to the brain. So what will happen is when the glasses are clear, the brain has to go get its info real fast before it shuts down and becomes opaque. So we can keep making that blink a little longer and longer, and the brain has to get faster and faster and faster to get that information while it's open. So once we're done training and we take them off, everything seems slower. It's not slower, it's just that our brain is working faster. So this is trainable. And so the sooner we can process information, the sooner we can move. So our reaction time is better. As a hitter, I can watch the ball a little longer, track it longer, and know that I can move from here to the contact point faster. The quarterback that he's reading the defense, he's be able to see that separation a little bit sooner. And if our brain is faster, again, the game slows down, it becomes easier, we make better decisions. But the other point of it is in regards to focus. And it's so important with great focus and poor focus. And a lot of people's focus, they don't maintain a high level of focus from play to play, pitch to pitch, putt to putt, shot to shot. And what happens, so with great focus, we're capturing, just as I said, just the essence, and we're ignoring all the distractions there. We're only as good as the information our brain captures and processes and how fast it does that. If we get late information, incomplete information, wrong information, it's going to be difficult to put ourselves in a position for success. So that's where we need to get, is the point where we're able to capture that great information over and over and over. And with the glasses here, so this is at the low level, but we can make it a little harder. I'm going to make the blink a little longer, putting more resistance on the brain. So when it's open, the brain's got to now be more picky about the info that it captures to process. So it learns to capture the great information over and over and over again. Once we take them off again, we're trained to get that great info and ignore all the rest. And that's where the great athletes are, like the Kobe, the Tiger, the Jeter, the Tom Brady. Their level of focus is so high at each play to play that their brain's getting such great info that they're able to be successful and put themselves in a position for success. So that's something that we can train. Our brain is naturally lazy. It doesn't like to focus. It doesn't like to focus for very long. So we can get better at it, but are we consistently capturing that good information over and over? And we can actually, this is trainable. So, Doc, did you have a question or anything? So you got to pop in there.
Yeah, what? I've been taking notes here, and this is such a great exercise. Thank you for talking about so many amazing, interesting topics. I had an opportunity a few years back to work in medical sales and got to go into the operating room and work with orthopedic surgeons. And what I learned is in the medical world, they're looking for clinical data. Do you have any clinical research data that shows the efficacy of this amazing technology?
Yeah, absolutely. And on the website, strobesport.com, you can look at the studies. There's about a dozen studies on the website, anywhere from hockey and soccer and baseball and football. And so it's all proven. for example, one with the University of Cincinnati baseball team that they trained with the strobe glasses, and the team batting average went up 34 points. So this is all a scientific study that they're able to do. They use the strobe glasses in addition with some other training techniques. This Brock string, it's like a string, and you look at a bead close and far, and then you back and forth, do those type of things. And just a little history of the glasses too, Dot. So I appreciate you saying that. So as I mentioned, I worked for Nike for 15 years, and Nike came out with the original Nike Vapor strobe glasses in the early 2010s. And Nike did a great job of getting it out there and seeding it on athletes and teams, but they did a horrible job of educating people on how to use it. So it was very underutilized. The margins stunk on it, and so Nike ended up getting out of it. There's a company called Synaptech who's taking over that Nike technology, and they currently are using the same Nike stuff. So the studies back then were done with the old Nike product. So this is the newer product here. The gentleman that made the original Nike ones made some big improvements to it. One of them is that when it's opaque, that we're still letting light in. We're letting artificial or natural light come through, even though it's occluded and you can't see. Whereas the old Nike glasses would go like black, and then it'd be clear and black and clear. And no one performs in that type of a situation where our pupils can be agitated, where we want to have light. We want to replicate as much as we can the natural environment in which we're going to perform in. So that's kind of the history of the glasses, is that the evolution has taken us to here. The efficacy, there are a number of studies. One is great for football and concussion mitigation, and we'll read about it, is that when we can make our brain work much faster and we see things better, instead of having this head-on collision, which is concussion, maybe we're able to move a little bit and we're going to kind of come off on the side. So they did a study with that, and concussion, the instance for concussions went down 40%. So think about it, as you're able to see things and able to move just a little bit sooner there, you're not going to have that hard collision there. So that's a great thing in regards to football.
Well, it's interesting you bring up American football, and we'll also put rugby into that world. I always share when parents ask me, "Hey, Mike, any tips for my son or daughter? If she plays rugby or American football?" And I say, play the game like you don't have a helmet. You really want to avoid, hitting your head. That's just critical. There's definitely clinical data and research that what causes CT is it's not the concussion, it's subconcussive, and it's the brain going back and forth. So what you just said, Mike, if these glasses can help you avoid those head-on collisions, that's a fabulous contribution to the sport. A couple other questions I have before you take it away. I have some cousins out here on the East Coast that play ice hockey. Do you have any ice hockey players using the strobe glasses? And a wide receiver, I have another cousin who wants to be he wants to play in the NFL. He's a wide receiver. And then finally, can you talk about that 60-year-old? I asked you earlier before we came on live, the 60-year-old golfer that's experienced improving his golf game, because I have a good friend who was just his birthday, Andre Nicasso. He loves golf, and I'm going to say he's 39, but he really isn't. And he would love to improve his game, the game of golf. So could you talk about those different sports and how your product, your technology is helping those particular sports?
Absolutely. And I just want to go into another thing. So we're talking about reaction time and focus. But I'll have guys, when we take more vision away, we can actually work on our balance and our feel. And that's one of the last skills to develop, is be able to have that body awareness and to make adjustments. So I have such a high level like this, I've guys hit off the tee. And so what's going to happen here is that your brain gets so quiet and your body's so quiet, your focus is so singular, it just that ball off the tee, that we become, as I use the word, quiet. And that's that relaxation. That's the state we want to be in when we're in the zone. We don't want to be overstimulated like that. So so we can do those things. In regards to golf, yeah, there's a 60-year-old guy, have this golf pro down in Chandler, and so he'll have the glasses on the guys, and he'll be hitting balls, he'll be chipping balls or putting balls, and he'll just take a little more information away. And as I said, your brain gets so quiet and focused that when it's open, it's got to just get the good info. So now he's just seeing the ball, or he's just feeling where his body is in space. And now he's go ahead and making the swing, the putt, the chip, and he's able to feel his swing much more. Plus that anxiety goes down because all the other stimulus that our brain wants to kind of process, we eliminate that. And so we can really quiet the brain and get those yips down, those type of things. And yips is nothing more than a bunch of stimulus that you're processing that's unnecessary. In regards to hockey, I don't have any hockey guys. There's studies there. I don't have a lot of connections in hockey right now. I'm so busy with baseball and football and golf and MMA, that I got my hands full.
You do now. You do now, brother.
All right. No, I appreciate that. And in regards to football, wide receivers, absolutely. I mean, football is such a skill. The game gets so fast as you keep playing it. Like you can't keep up with the speed. You don't get to play anymore. You get to sit and watch. But I have a number of receivers, and they'll catch balls off the jugs machine. We'll block out a single eye and just have them work on just their weak eye. Maybe catching the ball better on their right side than their left side. And again, if it's that weak eye is giving you poor information, we're not going to be as consistent on that weak side. So absolutely for receivers, for quarterbacks, DBs, linebackers, that they have to process stuff so quick to see where's the hole, where they need to be. A lot of times they'll find out that weak eye, that non-dominant eye, they may cheat a little bit on that side because they know that they're not picking up things as well on that side. They know their strong side and they can do that, but we can get more balance in the eyes. And again, the brain gets better info, can put us in better position to be successful. Baseball for hitting, for example, we'll hit off the tee. I was with some guys from the Indians yesterday. We're doing front toss or side toss. They'll hit off the machine. I don't like to do it for live pitching just because, you never know if a guy's going to let one go. So I just say machine. It's always be safe. We can do short hops. We can do drop steps. You just use your imagination. There's no wrong way to use the glasses, but whatever you're doing in your training, to say, look, if I can add a little more resistance, if I can make my brain work faster, if I can make my focus better, will I have a better outcome? And that's all that we're trying to do is again training the brain through the eyes. It is trainable. Some guys have figured it out. And Dot, I know you probably played with guys that are athletic unicorns, but they maybe not consistent in their performance. Whereas we got some other guys that played that might not be as big or as tall or as fast or as strong, but they're always in the right spot, or they're making that consistent play over and over. And that's the guy as a coach is driving you nuts to go, how come this little guy can get it done, yet my unicorn is inconsistent? And this is something that coach can't do. Coach can teach you strength and speed and mechanics and strategy and game planning. But once you actually go out and perform, he can't control what's going on in your brain. So we want to do this. We want to train at that game level or beyond. As you were saying, let's train harder than the game, and the game gets easier. Michael Jordan in The Last Dance that they had on ESPN, he was talking that the Bulls, they would practice harder than the game. They would foul harder. They would take tougher shots. They were doing things that were much more difficult, and that was their practice every time. So when they got to the game, those situations of the game is just practice. I don't have to step up and play harder in the game because my practice is that hard. So we can overtrain. We can make that brain do more. And so once we get to that game situation, when we're able to perform with the difficulty of the glasses, you will find out a way to be successful. The brain wants to be successful. It doesn't want to fail. Once we're able to do that, we're able to take those reps at that high critical situation, a difficult play over and over and over and over again. Versus in a game, you may only have a handful of times where you have those critical plays. The more we can make those replications of the difficult plays over and over, and we manage to be successful with it, we take the glasses off. So when we're in that situation in the game, when it's that critical situation, it becomes just another moment. It's not a big moment. It's not, oh my gosh, overwhelming moment. It's just another moment. And that's where the elite athletes are. It's just as big as, the fans are screaming and, oh my gosh, it's 0-2 this or seconds going down on the clock. And as a fan, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so, scary. Oh my God, is he going to perform? The great athletes, they are so cool out there. They are so quiet. Their brain, their body, they're loose. And that's all they're looking at. Their focus is so great. All the stuff that we're capturing as fans, they ignore. And they're just looking at what's the thing in front of them that they need to do.
Well, you're so right about that, Mike. I was very fortunate to play with a man that you remember. We played in high school together. We played at Blair Field. I was in Huntington Beach at Edison High School, and he was at Long Beach Poly, and we were teammates. His name was Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah, I would say he was pretty good ball player. We went to the state championship when we were teammates, the Joe DiMaggio state championship in California, and I think Tony batted like 660 in the tournament. And the teammates, one of our teammates was Bobby Meacham, who got to the big leagues, and Donnie Hill was a big league. So we had a pretty good team. And any event, we all thought when Tony hit, when he was hitting, we said, he's got a chance to make the big leagues, even though he played basketball. He was recruited to San Diego State as a basketball player. But you mentioned something. Tony Gwynn was very calm, and you mentioned how your technology can help quiet the brain. And I'm thinking of meditation. I mean, that's something that I've always wanted to do because my mind is always racing. And I'm thinking, and again, this is outside the box here, but perhaps your technology can help people that are trying to learn how to meditate. And then the final question I want to ask you is about age. I think you said someone as young as 6 years old could benefit from this technology. And the final thing I want to say is, we on the dot, you get the last word. So this is going to be the last time you hear from me. You can talk as long as you want. If you want to go an hour, whatever, but I'm going to turn off my mic and you're going to have the floor. Everyone's going to see you and you get the last word, Mike. So I just, again, want to thank you for coming on the dot, and you got the last word, my friend.
All right. Well, I'll try not to talk too much. I know, but I appreciate the opportunity to share this technology, and it really is, I think, a missing piece to performance. And as you said about that mindfulness and that quietness, absolutely. When we're performing at the best, we are quiet. We're just capturing the best information, and all the distractions are just gone. And so, how can we train to be in that over and over again? That's the question. How do we do that? When you're in the zone, it's awesome. But when we're going bad, how do I get back in the zone? And the thing is, it's the brain. The brain's in control of us. We're not in control of our brain. And so we can actually train the brain by putting this resistance on it. We can train it to do things that we want it to. The whole purpose of the brain is to keep us alive. The brain doesn't want us to fail. The brain doesn't want us to get into a wreck. Our brain doesn't want us to drown. Our brain doesn't want us to go without food. So it's going to find a way to be successful. So that's all we're doing with it. And you're talking about Tony Gwynn, and absolutely, and you look at him physically, and I mean, especially, we got later, he's a little heavier and stuff. So he's not the most athletic guy out there. He's not the fastest, the strongest guy. You look at other athletes that were bigger and stronger, faster than him, but he had something that others don't. And he had such that high level of focus. And as Tony Gwynn, how could Tony Gwynn teach you how to focus? He can't. He has this focus. He can kind of talk to words and stuff, but he's actually going to stimulate your brain and make it learn how to focus like a Tony Gwynn does. So that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of great athletes that haven't figured out that focus piece. And a lot of times once they're done and they're done playing, now they go back and go, oh, that's how I should have reacted. That's what I should have captured. That's what I should have done. And it's too late. The game is gone. So this is one thing. If we can continue to improve our brain, our game improves too. And it's just finding that quietness. again. So put the stress on the brain over and over. For example, we got the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs train with these glasses, and they like doing the tactical tent on this. But think of Navy SEALs. They have to have such a high level of focus, visual acuity, decision making. I mean, it's like life and death that they're talking about. And they overtrain, talking about overtraining. So these guys do this. So we're able to make their brains that much faster. So they're going to pick up objects, the good and bad that they have to, and they're able to process it and make the right decisions over and over, plus doing it with all that calmness. Because, I mean, bullets could be flying over their head, and they're like asking somebody, hey, what do you want to have for lunch? You know, it's like, because they're saying, I can't control the bullets, but I can control what we're going to have for lunch. I'm just kind of putting that out there. There's a little joke, but that's the type of thing. For every sport, I just had an interesting call last Thursday. This gentleman from McNeese State called me about the glasses for his athletes. And we were talking about reaction time. We were talking about focus. We were talking about feel and balance. And he was a rodeo coach from McNeese State. I never even considered that, a category to pursue, but it makes so much sense what these guys have to do, the speed in which they're having to rope those steers and wrap up the legs and everything. This can apply to so many people. But you mentioned too, the armchair quarterback, those type of folks, is that we can do that. We can train that brain to be much faster and efficient. Video games, that's a whole other thing too. That's a huge category where there's a lot of money being made in that, and everyone's playing these games. If we can actually make that focus and reaction time better, they're going to be more efficient with their accuracy in their shooting. Just any athlete that wants to improve on this is something that a coach can't make you do. And it's a passion of mine. I love it. I see that it works. The science is behind it, and the technology is going to get even better. So Dot, I think you asked that earlier before we jumped on the call, but here's where the evolution of this is going, where you see these glasses here where they're flashing when they're turned off. Let's do that. They're opaque. So the new technology which could be coming out is going to be like sunglasses, so they're clear. Then we can turn them on. We can do our training, dual eye, single eye, do that, and then we can turn it off, and then the sunglasses again. So we could use it on the golf course. You could use it in the batting cage before you step in to hit, and then turn them off and then go in and hit. There's for football and hockey. It's really going to be amazing. There's a film that we're going to be able to put on the inside of the visor or the shield. So not on the outside where you have a puck or a ball hit, but on the inside, a film on there. And so you'd be able to have on your helmet and actually go through your plays, go through your reps, go through your drills. So really exciting what's happening out there. And we just want to make the athletes the best possible athletes that we can and help them overcome some of those hurdles that they have. And it from all the all pros, the MVPs, the Hall of Famers, the guys that I was able to work with and played with and worked with at Nike, there's a common theme going on. And it is this ability to capture the great information over and over. I mean, there's a Hall of Famers that would come to New York and failed in New York. But I mean, they've succeeded elsewhere. I won't name any names, but there's some guys at Hall of Fame and they came to New York and they just couldn't deal with the distractions of a New York, from the press, the media, the fans, just all of that. Whereas a Derek Jeter, he was able to just go through that city for the 20 years and be able to have that level of focus and confidence and ignoring those distractions. How does he do it? But you got these other guys that come in and don't. So it's something that, you're kind of maybe born with or innate, or you figure it out. But the strobe training and the strobe sport is a tool where you can get to that level, where you can actually train the brain to get closer to be like a Jeter, a Tiger, a Kobe, those type of guys. So they're just cool as can be under pressure, and they're consistent in their performance. So I think I rattled on there for a bit. Check out the website at strobesport.com. You can follow me on YouTube at Strobe Sport Glasses, Twitter, Strobe Sport, Instagram, Strobe Sport _. A lot of videos, a lot of stuff. Happy to answer any questions you may have. You can email me, Mike at strobesport.com. I'm just here to support and make better athletes and to share this technology. And Dot, I just say thank you for having me On the Dot and my birthday brother. Thank you so much, and go Cardinal.